But I want to give real credit, Miles, to the opposition. Like Crystal Palace set up to frustrate, hit Liverpool early and just defend superbly. And you've got to say that game plan worked incredibly well, didn't it? Against the Liverpool team that kind of ran out of luck, I think, in recent weeks, haven't they?
Yeah, they definitely benefited from the poor finishing of the Liverpool forwards. However, I was really excited watching the first like 10 minutes. Like Palace played so differently to I anticipated in
Mm-hmm.
that opening exchange. Like they really came out at Liverpool. Eze was just at his best. He was incredible. Elise was getting involved really well as well. Mateta was just such a nuisance.
Yeah.
And that actually it should have been 2-0 quite early on when Van Dijk has this slip. And if it hadn't been for an excellent Robertson clearance, this could have got even worse for Liverpool. But yeah, I think then it became very much a hold on to what you've got kind of job in the second half. And they did that really well. Like Joachim Anderson was outstanding. Mitchell, I thought, played so
Yeah,
well
he did.
and controlled that channel really, really well. And it shows you the talent that this Crystal Palace side have. I mean, we said this when Glasner came in, that really there are a lot of players there that you look at and go, you have got a much higher ceiling than where Palace are currently at. And if you can get them all to click together, then maybe you move Palace up to that sort of position. This is only his second win, though, Glasner, since his
Yeah.
first game, which is crazy to think. But you never would have guessed that if you watch this performance today and said one of these teams has a new manager who's trying to work out how this team needs to play, and one of them has had a manager for 7 years, you'd have said it completely the way around because Palace was so organised.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to sort of seem too smug at Liverpool losing and collapsing at Crystal Palace once again, like they did, I think, 10 years ago, didn't they? And kind of blew the league in that season too, because United aren't particularly great this season either, Dave. But again, keeping it on Palace and trying to focus on how well they managed this game. Oliver Glasner, we've talked about the style he could impose and has tried to impose. He hasn't really been able to kind of 100% do that just yet, has he? But when games like this come around and tactically they seem to come off so well, you can really see how good a tactician he is, because he's from that same
Mm.
sort of school of German, Austrian coaches, really, that kind of look at football in the same way. And like you said in the past, I think the Red Bull stable of managers has kind of got the same mentality about how to win football games. That seemed to come out in this game too, didn't it?
Yeah, I think particularly in that first 15 minutes, which Miles mentioned, you could see that kind of style that he imposes on his team, that narrow front three, where obviously the inside forwards, they kind of like to close off those passing lanes and create a little bit of doubt in the defence, and it works. You could see Liverpool look shaky at the back, and when they were playing out, and that's what forced that error, particularly for Mateta's opportunity, and very very nearly profited from it. It's they look exciting to watch, and I think that's a real contrast to what Palace fans have been watching. I think Wharton had a really good game.
Yeah,
I
he did.
saw quite a bit of Blackburn last season when I watched them Championship, and he looked like a player who carried a lot of promise. We've spoken about Palace's recruitment, haven't we, earlier this season? Dougie Freeman, what a great job he's done at the club. He obviously got a link, I think, to United, didn't he, for quite recent as well. And if you look at what they've done with some of their young players, it's breath of fresh air. And I think if they can carry on doing that, if they can keep that recruitment team in place and keep obviously getting these young players in, I think they'll be going places. And I think that's what Palace fans will be wanting to, is this team is evolving.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to keep the same players around that squad, which seems like it's been the case for the last few years. There's been a lot of players who've been there for years and years, and it almost kind of seems like they've been stuck in this endless cycle of having the same players around, and when they've not probably been bringing enough talent in, but when they have done it, they've done it really impressively. But I thought Wharton in that midfield, I thought he was really good in midfield today. I think he won the most duels in the midfield. I just think he looks like he's got a really good base for a midfielder, and reads the game well. He was breaking up play. He's got a good passing range, so I think it's a promising time for Palace fans, and I think it's about time they had a little bit of sort of optimism, I think, around the place.
Absolutely. Well, they're a big club, aren't they? Really, in a big city in the Premier League, and they should be fighting for more than mid-table mediocrity. And let's not forget, Glasner's still got to be able to fashion his own team with his own players out of Crystal Palace, and he's kind of been dealt a hand, and he's working well with it. To be fair.